Earth hadn't seen a sunrise in 3 days. Not because of war or natural disaster, but because the Teraval landed. A species woven from bioluminescent sinew and graceful carapace. The Teraval did not come in conquest. They came in curiosity. Their ships hovered like hovering temples over oceans and deserts, casting soft blue shadows on the world below. Earth had reached out to the stars in coded transmissions, and the stars had answered with flesh. Ambassadors were chosen, not by government but by fate, or, as many began to whisper, by the Teraval themselves. One such chosen was a human woman named Muriel Corvin. 36, with a mixed heritage of Polynesian and Irish descent. She was a marine geobiologist who spent more time with coral than with humans. Her selection made no sense. She had no military clearance, no diplomatic training. But the Teraval insisted. Her counterpart was a Teraval named Virak K, or simply K, though even that name shimmered in the throat like liquid crystal. He stood at 8 feet tall, exoskeletal yet strangely elegant. His eyes were triple-ringed, violet with fractal specks that pulsed when he felt strong emotion. The Teraval did not wear clothes in the human sense. They wore living garments, symbiotic organisms that shifted colors with mood and function. Their first meeting was awkward. Kay entered the underwater embassy, an enormous pressure-regulated dome off the coast of the Azores, with the poise of a creature born to rule oceans. Muriel, soaked from a malfunctioning submersible suit, met him with a breathless glare and hair stuck to her forehead. He bowed, a formal gesture. She stared. "You're late," she snapped. 3 hours late. And I've been stuck in here with no translator, no light, and a leaky comm. He clicked softly in amusement. "You speak with water still on your tongue. Humans waste words like fish waste scales." Muriel took offense. "Did you just compare me to fish waste?" He tilted his head. "If you spit, then yes." Without warning, she did just that. Spat right in his face, furious. Kay didn't flinch. In fact, he stepped forward silently, raised one jointed arm, and pressed a soft, biotic device over her mouth. A shimmering gag-like construct that bonded instantly. Her eyes widened in shock as the transparent material stifled her angry retort. Then he leaned close and whispered, "Now you listen." For a heartbeat, neither moved. Then Kay reached up and gently removed the gag. It dissolved into mist. Muriel stumbled back. "Did you just gag me?" "Yes," he said calmly. "I did." Silence. Then oddly she laughed. It was half sputter, half surprise. "You're lucky I don't deck you." Kay's fractal eyes pulsed. That would be an appropriate second greeting. But perhaps, let us begin again. The early days were a test of boundaries. Kay studied human customs. Muriel dissected Teraval biology and language. She was fascinated and terrified by the things they did not tell Earth. For example, the Teraval did not need to breathe. At least not in the way humans did. Their bodies exchanged gases through subdermal cells, capable of absorbing oxygen directly from liquid or air. When Kay told her this, they were already a week into shared residence in the underwater dome. Muriel narrowed her eyes. "So if I dropped you in the Mariana Trench, you just chill?" Kay blinked. "I do not know what chill means, but yes." She leaned forward, tapping the glass of the main observation window where bioluminescent squid fluttered in the dark. "Then why do you care so much about us breathing underwater?" His voice was low. "Because some of you can." That's when he told her. About certain humans. Rare genetic markers. People born with the latent potential to metabolize oxygen through modified hemoglobin. It was a dormant evolutionary path, long considered myth. But the Teraval had detected it in a few humans, including her. Muriel's world tilted. "That's not possible." "Your body disagrees," he said. "Would you like to test it?" The next day, Kay took her deeper, past the lab levels, past the regulated sections, into the native pressure zone of the dome's abyssal floor. "No suit," he said. "You want me to drown?" He offered a small, alien smile. "No, I want you to breathe." And so, heart pounding, lungs tight, Muriel stepped out into the ocean with nothing but a small sensor clipped to her wrist. The water enveloped her like silk, cold silk. She braced herself for panic, but it didn't come. Instead, a strange calm, a sensation of gills opening within her ribs, though there were none. Her body pulled the ocean into her lungs and returned life. Slowly, cleanly. When she surfaced 30 minutes later, Kay was waiting. She swam to him, pulled herself up, dripping and shaking. I did it. His voice was quiet, reverent. You are the first in centuries. She looked at him wild-eyed. Why me? We do not know, he replied. But I was sent to find you. That night, neither slept. Muriel sat with Kay in the meditation sphere, a floating orb above the sea, surrounded by 360 degrees of stars and water. They shared a drink brewed from Taraval kelp and bioluminescent nectar. Tasted like salt and moonlight. She looked at him, really looked. Why do your people care about humans so much? She asked. We're violent, loud, messy. Kay turned his gaze to the stars. Because you are still becoming. Becoming what? He paused. Everything we forgot how to be. She swallowed. Do your people feel love? Kay looked at her with eyes the color of crushed amethyst. We used to. We are learning again. Muriel's heart raced, not with fear, but something older. Raw. She reached out, touched his hand, felt the cool pulse of his skin. Not skin, carapace, living alloy, but it felt real, warm. He did not pull away. Muriel hadn't left the water in 3 days. She no longer needed rebreathers or suits. Her body, as if awakened by an ancestral whisper, had adjusted to the aquatic depths like it had always belonged there. And Kay had never left her side. She learned the rhythms of the Taraval oceans, the pulse fields of submerged tectonic temples, the migratory path of glow whales that fed on volcanic vapors. She felt like a child, humbled and giddy in the embrace of a world she never knew she could touch. But more than that, she learned him. Kay. He was nothing like the human men she'd known. He was precise, yes, but not cold. Emotion among the Taraval wasn't declared. It was revealed, gently, like layers of pearl unfolding with time. His affection was not words or gestures. It was presence, constant, undemanding. One night, while drifting in the kelp chambers, their bodies side by side, Muriel asked, Do Taraval choose mates? Kay's body shifted slightly. His voice was barely above the current. Once, long ago. Why'd you stop? He was silent for a long time. Then, we advanced, became bonded to purpose. We decided logic was purer than longing. She turned her head toward him. That sounds lonely. His eyes met hers. We did not realize how lonely until we saw humans. Muriel laughed softly. We're a mess. You are alive, he said. The silence stretched again, not empty, but full. Do you miss it? She asked. I do, he said. Until now, I did not remember how much. The world above had not forgotten them. Reports filtered into the Taraval Dome through restricted human channels. Protests, riots, governments vying for Taraval favor. Religious leaders calling humans with aquatic traits chosen hybrids. There were rumors of forced testing on infants suspected of carrying the gene. Muriel's stomach turned when she read the reports. She slammed her tablet onto the table and buried her face in her hands. They're tearing each other apart, she muttered. Kay, who had been studying sonar charts, turned. It was expected. Transformation is always met with resistance. They're going to try and own it, she hissed. The breathing gene. Me. Us. They will fail. She blinked. What? Kay stood, his presence towering but not threatening. They cannot own what they cannot survive. The ocean accepts only those who give themselves freely. She rose too, her voice raw. Kay, they'll come for me. You know that, right? I know, he said. That is why I must take you deeper. Muriel frowned. How much deeper can we go? He stepped forward, his voice now shaded with urgency. There is a place, Murtelare, the hollow bloom. It's where the old Taraval first touched the core currents. No human has ever entered it. Not even you. But it may be your only sanctuary. She hesitated. What if I can't survive that depth? Kay touched her cheek, his three-pronged fingers brushing her skin like a whisper. I believe you will, but I cannot force it. Her heart thundered. She searched his face. Alien, yes, but no longer strange. I trust you, she said. The descent began at twilight. They rode the kelp skimmers down a trench known as the Mirror Fold, where bioluminescent spores drifted like stars and the pressure could crush a nuclear sub. Kay had placed a new biosuit on her, an exowoven membrane that adapted to her metabolism, soft and sleek. It responded to her pulse. Protected but did not separate. They did not speak during the descent. They simply were. Past the twilight zone, they entered the deep gloom, where ancient machines sang songs to tectonic flows and gravity played strange tricks. Kay touched a column of pulsating coral, and a tunnel opened, a warm, swirling vortex that led into the hollow bloom. When they emerged, Muriel gasped. It wasn't a cave. It was a cathedral. The hollow bloom was an immense dome carved by natural tides and infused with alien flora. Great rings of light circled the ceiling like a submerged aurora. In the center was a floating mass of biocrystals, singing in tones so deep her bones vibrated. This is where we were born, Kay said, his voice barely audible through the resonance. Muriel stared. Your species, he nodded, and where we learned to forget love. But perhaps, where you can remember it. They stayed for 2 days. On the second night, the hollow bloom began to pulse faster. The waters thickened with something more than light. Memory. Kay brought her to the core. The crystals responded to her presence, weaving small threads of light around her wrists and heart. Muriel looked at him. What is it doing? Kay's expression grew solemn. It is reading you, and offering a pact. A pact. You are not Teravel, but you are no longer only human. If you accept it, you may become something between. She looked down at the threads weaving across her chest like bioluminescent lace. Her lungs no longer hurt at this depth. Her heart beat slower but stronger. What would I have to give up? She asked. Kay stepped closer. Land. Simplicity. Maybe safety. But not love. Her voice trembled. Would I ever see Earth again? He cupped her face. You would see more than Earth. And you would have me. If you choose. Muriel didn't respond with words. Instead, she leaned forward and pressed her lips to his. He froze at first, surprised. His species had no mouths, no kissers. But his body adapted. Always the Teravel adapted. His facial plates softened, flexed. He kissed her back. Not in mimicry, but in learning. It was clumsy, electric, divine. When they broke apart, she whispered, Then I choose. And the hollow bloom shone. The next day she changed. Not all at once, not visibly, but in ways she felt. She no longer heard her heartbeat. It was replaced by a rhythm deeper, like sonar echoing through marrow. She could see further in the dark, hear the algae singing. Her fingers glowed at the tips, faint and gentle. She was becoming. But even in this transcendence, they both knew something waited above. The humans would come. They always did. And come they did. A week later, a UN subdrone pierced the trench. It was stealthy, but not stealthy enough for Kay. They've found us, he said. Muriel felt no fear, only resolve. Then we go up. Together. Kay hesitated. You are not what they remember. They may see you as a threat. Let them, she said. He tilted his head. Will you fight? She smiled, fierce, glowing. Only if they start it. The first to arrive was not a diplomat. It was a combat drone, sleek, black, bristling with silent weapons. It hovered just outside the kelp curtain, scanning, recording. Behind it, in the deeper murk, waited a submersible like a sleeping shark. No insignia, no flags, just watchers, waiting. Kay stood before the kelp wall, still as reef stone. They're probing, judging how close they can get before provoking us. Muriel swam up beside him. She no longer moved like a landwalker. She moved like a daughter of water. Effortless. Beautiful. They won't wait long, she said. They'll think I've been taken. Or altered. They'll call it contamination. Kay turned to her. They would be half right. She smirked. Only half. Only in body. Your spirit remains untamed. From behind them, the hollow bloom pulsed once. A soundless tone that echoed like a heartbeat through the water. Muriel looked back. It's warning us. No, Kay said. It's reminding us. Of what? That no light survives forever above. Within hours, the combat drone withdrew. In its place came something stranger. A vessel shaped like a great jellyfish, lined with pressurized viewing ports. It released small translation drones, floating like jelly lanterns. A voice boomed through the dome. Human. Familiar. Dr. Muriel Corvin. This is Commander JYSS Grevant of the Terran Aquatic Defense Initiative. We are here for debriefing and extraction. You will be returned to Surface Command. Muriel's jaw tightened. He's military, not research. They're done asking questions. Kay moved behind her, a silent shadow. Will you go? She didn't turn. Not without conditions. They met at the negotiation chamber. A neutral zone shaped from living coral and crystal. On one side, the Terran delegation. On the other, the Teraval. In the middle, Muriel, draped in biolight threads that clung to her like woven mist. Commander JYSS sat stiff-backed, his eyes sharp, suspicious. He was in his 50s, pale, with a grayed military cut and eyes that had seen too many lies. Dr. Corvin, he began, steepling his fingers. You've been missing for 33 days. Your DNA has mutated. Your biometric readings are impossible. Muriel didn't blink. Then rewrite your possibilities. He frowned. This isn't a joke. Do you even understand what your transformation implies? Humanity doesn't evolve this fast. This isn't natural. From the other side, Kay's voice rumbled like thunder slowed to speech. She did not evolve. She remembered. JYSS turned sharply. We didn't come to speak with your pet alien. Muriel stood. Then speak to me. JYSS rose, voice rising. You are property of the Terran Biological Accord. You're carrying a trait we need to secure before it becomes weaponized or spread. And that was when Muriel moved. She crossed the table in one fluid step and slapped him. Hard. The room froze. I am not property, she said, voice quiet but seething. I am not a subject. I'm not yours. Not anyone's. Kay did not stop her. His eyes pulsed softly, approval, maybe, pride. Commander JYSS slowly stood, rubbing his jaw. Then we have a problem. No, Muriel said. You have a choice. The Teraval are offering to teach us how to adapt, how to join them. But we can't do that if your first instinct is to cage what you fear. JYSS's eyes narrowed. We'll be back. With clearance. The delegation left. That night, Muriel stood alone in the tidal sanctuary, watching bioluminescent waves lap the crystal platforms. Kay approached behind her, saying nothing. They'll come harder next time, she whispered. He nodded. Yes, with weapons. Protocol. Maybe others like you. Others? She turned. The mutation may have awakened in more. The bloom's light does not only reach down. She inhaled, salt and current flowing into lungs that had never been more hers. We need to warn them, not fight. Just give them a chance to choose. Kay tilted his head. Do you still believe in their mercy? She paused. No, but I believe in change. He moved beside her. And what of us? That question cut deeper than politics. She turned to him. What are we? He lifted one hand, bioluminescent, scarred from refrites, and touched her chest. You are becoming Teraval, and I am becoming human. She stepped into him, resting her forehead against his. Then let's become together. And there, beneath moons and miles of water, they made love. Not in heat or haste, but in surrender. In awe. His body, alien and beautiful, became a vessel for emotion. Hers, transformed and luminous, became an anchor. They moved like waves interwoven. There were no words, only joining. In the days that followed, others came. Not soldiers, people, young, old, quiet, curious, drawn by dreams and half-remembered sea-song. A fisherman from Nova Scotia who never drowned as a boy. A girl from Okinawa who swam with sharks and never bled. A child from Kenya whose eyes glowed faintly in moonlit tidipools. The hollow bloom welcomed them. One by one, the ocean called its lost children home. Muriel watched over them, half-guide, half-sister. She taught them how to breathe, how to hear the language of coral and whales, how to feel the pressure without fear. Kay watched her with something deeper than pride. He called it Alarin, the Teraval word for love that had no requirement, no end. And yet, tension brewed above. The Terran governments were splitting. Some called for war, others for cooperation. There were rumors of an underwater strike team assembling. Not to save, but to claim. The day before it happened, Muriel sat alone with Kay in the observatory sphere. They held hands, hers human warm, his cool and smooth. If they come with fire, she said, we'll lose everything. No, he replied. Only if we respond with fire. Her eyes met his. Then how do we survive? His voice was a whisper. By changing them. She shook her head. They won't change fast enough. Kay leaned close. Then we show them something so alive. They must question death. She touched his chest. What if that's us? Then let them see. They came at dawn. 3 vessels, military grade, trident stamped, humming with the electric anticipation of a controlled engagement. The oceans above boiled briefly with heat signatures, sonic beacons, and a low war hum that turned the deeper currents sour. But down below, in the sanctuary of the hollow bloom, there was no panic, no scrambling, only preparation. Muriel stood at the core. The others, those newly awakened, still finding their gills, their balance, their truths, stood behind her like soft-lit stars, their eyes wide with uncertainty but not fear. Kay was beside her, eyes narrowed, hands woven into the coral altar that pulsed with warning. They will breach in minutes, he said, reading the vibrations. She closed her eyes. Then it's time. Time for something humanity had never done before when faced with what it feared. Open. The strike team dropped in formation. 12 exosuits, silver and crimson, descending like armored locusts through the trench's vein. They carried containment fields, tranquilizers, pulse blades, and sonic disruptors. Their orders were clear. Extract Dr. Muriel Corvin. Eliminate hostile Teraval. Secure the bloom. Visual acquired, said the lead comms unit. And then they saw her. Muriel didn't look human anymore. At least not entirely. Her skin shimmered faintly like a pearl in deep water. Her eyes had no whites, just twin black pearls haloed in silver. Thin gill fronds traced the sides of her neck like sea lace. And she stood barefoot, clothed in nothing but luminescent bio-threads, arms open in welcome. Stand down, she said into the channel. Her voice carried without a speaker. It resonated, carried by the bloom itself. The strike team hesitated. She shouldn't have been able to transmit like that. You've come prepared to fight, she continued. But there is no enemy here. Only change. Dr. Corvin, said the team leader, armor humming. You are to be detained for observation. Do not resist. Muriel took a step forward. You think I'm contaminated, infected, altered. But that's not what this is. Another step. This is evolution. The team raised their stunners. Kay stepped beside her, body glowing in defensive pattern. If they attack. No, she whispered. Let me. She reached forward and touched the water just before them. The bloom responded. Light exploded outward, not blinding, not violent. It wasn't a weapon. It was invitation. A current of memory and meaning swept through the water like a soft tsunami. Visions, feelings, shared thought. Each soldier suddenly felt what she had lived. Not data, experience. They saw her drowning as a girl, only to wake with lungs drinking water like air. They felt her fear when her discovery became exploitation. her wonder at the Teraval world. Her nights curled beside Kay in silent communion. Her awe at seeing children who breathed like her, who found peace under pressure. They felt her choice, and many dropped their weapons. But not all. One soldier, Unit 7, fired. The sonic burst struck Muriel square in the chest. She didn't scream. She folded. The bloom dimmed. Kay roared. Not a sound, but a shockwave. One that bent metal, cracked coral, shattered the strike team's formation. But he didn't attack. He caught her as she fell. Muriel, he said, his voice breaking. A sound the Teraval had no word for. You cannot leave. She coughed, blood darkening the water in slow spirals. I'm still here. Her fingers found his. It's okay. I'm still becoming. Kay cradled her, glowing arms holding a fragile, burning star. She looked at the soldiers. Look at me, she rasped. Look what you're afraid of. And then ask why. Unit 7 aimed again, but another soldier grabbed their arm. Enough. And just like that, it ended. 17 hours later, the world changed. Muriel lived. Barely. Her body knit itself back together, aided by the bloom and Kay's unrelenting care. When she awoke, her voice had changed, deeper, like a tide humming through bone. The footage had gone viral. The soldiers, when questioned, didn't deny it. In fact, 3 of them requested to stay, to learn, to be taught by the Teraval and the hybrids who were growing bolder each day. Public opinion shifted, not all at once, but enough. Enough that world leaders could no longer pretend ignorance. Enough that religious factions called her both heretic and saint. Enough that people across every ocean began whispering her name like prophecy. Muriel, the girl who didn't drown, the woman who fell in love with the ocean and the alien inside it. 1 month later, Muriel stood again at the edge of the bloom, watching new initiates arrive. The children had gills now. The older ones were slower, more careful, but they came still. They came willingly. Kay joined her, his hand brushing hers. She leaned against him. They say I'm dangerous. He smiled in his way, head tilted, light flashing slow. You are. To the world that fears awakening. She grinned. Good. He looked down at her. And what of us? She turned, eyes bright. We were never theirs to define. She kissed him, not with hesitation, but with hunger, with hope, because this was no longer just about the past. It was about what came next. Epilogue. In the deep, beneath the sea and song, new cities grew, not of stone or steel, but of coral and will, shared between species, shared between souls. And in one of them, a mural glowed faintly, a woman with gills, arms outstretched to a ring of children in every shade of skin, species, and sea. Above her, the words in old Teraval script. To breathe is not to own the ocean, but to love it.